Hmm. Well, I think I'm back online. That was weird. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened. For some reason, I couldn't reach Twitch. Like, not just through OBS, but like in my browser. So I'm going to assume that their servers had a bit of a fart. Um, Sorry about that. Anyway, what I was saying is, I think with this, excuse me, I can just do this if we're lucky. Oh, and I need to say rec.height. Okay, let's try that. See if that actually forces it to draw correctly. I will be quite impressed if that does actually work. If it doesn't, then I have to try to dig up how to set those values because it's been a while. Um, hmm. So let's see here. We want that to compile and then Shazam. So I'm pretty sure. Oh my. Oh dear. Well, that did not work as I had expected it to. Um, Unfortunate. So that means that yes, this rect is not correct. So let's try list dot element. Here we are. Element height callback. That's what I need. So let's get rid of this. Say plus equals and then. Oh, you didn't give it to me. You suck. Which means I have to find this. I'm assuming this is a float value. It's an index. Okay. Well, let's do this then. So private float. What did I call it? Element height callback. Get element height. And then int index. Let's go ahead and grab this. Plug this in here. Make sure that it doesn't freak out. Good. Okay. So let's go ahead and grab this. Come back over here. We're going to put this at the bottom for consistency's sake. And then we're just going to say return editor GUI dot get property height. And then this. Okay. So let's let that compile. And hopefully that will actually give us everything that we need. Because that is hilarious but terrifying. So. It does suck that it's a little bit bulkier this way. It's not quite as aesthetically pleasing to the eyes. But what are you going to do? Besides sit here and be sad. Oh, no. No, 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 no. No. No, okay, so we're going back over here. And, oh, that means we're doing this. So we're going to say, gonna have fun with the stream. Can't wait for the game to be finished. Thank you. It has been a while. I'm still working on it though, just a little slowly. Either way, thanks for stopping by, man. Have fun on your stream. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and say position dot x followed by position dot y followed by position dot width times 0.5f, and then we'll say editor GUI. Oops. Editor GUI utility dot single line height. We're going to just hard set it there. Let's go ahead and do that. And that will do that. That will do that. And we should be good after that. So, okay. let's go ahead and let that compile, and then we should all be correct. Pretty sure, anyway. Should force everything to be what we would expect. Yeah, I guess that's kind of to be expected. So I was trying to draw all of those values, and because I don't set those values, it just assumed that they're going to be correct. We're going to have to pretty much do that, which this should be correct, so I think we'll be good. We might be a little tight. Yeah, I was a little worried about that. So let's go ahead and we can get rid of this -5 business, I'm pretty sure. Get rid of these as well. So these are all now pretty much correct, which is good. Except I am going to go ahead and do this plus editor GUI utility dot spacing gives us a little bit of a shield. Work with me, Unity. Why must you be like this? So let's see what that looks like. Interesting. Everything shifted down one, which I was not expecting. Huh. Well, okay then. You know, at this rate, I kind of want to write a custom inspector for this, but there's no need. Okay, give that a second. Okay, yeah, it's interesting. We need. I'm going to assume ×2. It's curious. Let's go ahead and let that go. All right. Well, at any rate, that gets us to a place that's good enough for now. If I want to come back and make it look prettier later, I can. I can do that off air, just because not the most interesting thing for me to just constantly sit here and be like, it looks fine, but it could be better. So that should bump us down a little bit more. Come on. Just a smidge. That's all I need. There we are. Okay. So we have these, and actually that really does drive me nuts, so I'm going to probably do this. Actually, we're going to try doing this to start. So we're just going to take that extra line off. I know I said I was going to quit fiddling around with it, but like it's so ugly. It just could be so much better with a little bit of formatting. If you can't tell, I spend a great amount of time, well, not a great amount of time, but a fair amount of my time at work making tools for us to use. So I'm quite insistent on having good aesthetics for my editors. So that should bump up our tooltips like a little bit. There we go. That looks much better. So now they're actually within the blue range. They're not hovering outside of it. Okay. So that works out. Honestly, if I had to redo this, I would probably make these text areas as well, and just give them their own little line down here, and just make this reach across the whole thing. But that's just me. Okay, so let's go ahead and create our tooltips for these. So we're just going to go ahead and say something like, so start text, this is a message that is shown at the start of your game. Message shown at the start of the custom adventure. Message shown at the end of the custom adventure. Okay. Message shown when the player attempts to quit message shown when the player attempts to quit the adventure. Okay. Message shown when the player confirms they want to quit the adventure. Message shown when the player cancels. Cancels out of quitting the adventure. Okay. Let's see. Item listing. Message shown when the player examines the environment. Text shown in the input area. Area when nothing. Hold on. Text shown in the input area when nothing has been input. Message shown at the end of the game. Let's see. At the end of the adventure. When the player. At the end of the adventure. When the player is ready to return to the main adventure screen. I don't know what I want to phrase this to be. Is ready to return to the adventures main screen, I guess. How about title screen? That's better. Title screen. Okay, turn count. Text shown when the player checks the number of past turns. Number of input words. Sentences. Checks the time played. Time played. Spent playing the adventure. And text shown when the player checks their score for the adventure. All right. Probably I should copy all of these over. So we're going to do that real quick. Because it's probably very important that we do so. Alright, let's see. Here. Almost done. And then we can check this all. Oops, wrong thing. So I need you. And you. And finally, you. Okay. Got all that in there now. So let's go ahead and see what this looks like. So we should have tooltips on our buttons, on all of the info view, and now all of the custom game settings for constants and such. So let's go ahead and clear this, start, extras, author mode, create. I'm going to go to Dunshire, game settings, adjust, I probably should say like adjust values for who created the game as well as other publishing information. Adjust values for, yeah, I did it for the other things. Adjust values for preset text prompts that all custom adventurers can use. Adjust what players see when they reach the end screen of your custom adventure. It's all looking good. It's all looking good. It is all looking phenomenal. Let's see here. Ooh, unfortunate. Okay. Wait. Time out. Why would that draw below that stuff? Game manager. Oh, wrong thing. UI view container. Let's see here. Custom game settings, root content. Oh, it's because I did it per menu, didn't I? Nope, that is not true. Tooltip area is down here, which is, you'll notice, above everything else, which means that the constant scroll view must have some ordering thing to it. Content. We don't worry about that. Well, here, let's do this real quick. Okay. Want to pause with that there. Oh. It's not below the tooltip area, which must mean that it's below itself. Oh, that makes sense. I think I might have done something stupid. Right. That totally makes sense because this would have no concept of the tooltip parent. So I need to set that up so that it can all be appropriate. Okay. Yep, that was me being silly. Okay. Let's go ahead and stop that. We can also get rid of this. And we're going to go to, let's see here. We can get rid of you, constants menu. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and say no, to no. And we're going to go ahead and just say serialize field, tooltip, private, rect transform, tooltip parent is equal to null, transform to parent tooltips to, let's go ahead and tooltip all of this as well, rect transform to parent, string fields, tip, scroll rect for the string fields. Okay. And I need to go back over to here where I do have to expose this. So we're going to go ahead and say public tooltip rect tooltip. Then we're going to go ahead and say get return tooltip. Okay. Which means that we're going to have to come down here because tooltip parent is protected, which means I have to actually expose that. Oh, good, it is. Aha! Sometimes I'm not stupid. And that means that when we spawn our fields, I'm going to have to say field dot tooltip dot parent. Okay, there we go. Is equal to tooltip parent. Okay. So that should fix that problem. Let's go ahead and let that compile. Should set everything up. I do find it quite embarrassing when I can't think of things like that ahead of time when I'm making a prefab and then or when I'm adjusting a value on a prefab and I'm just like, well, that's perfect. And then it was something very simple. If I had just thought it through a little bit longer, I would have caught it before I even ran into it. Oh well. I suppose that's why you're supposed to be able to rapidly iterate. Because small stuff like that always gets you. Oh, interesting. That very rarely happens. Okay. Go ahead and save that real quick. Don't think I'm going to need these. I'm going to pull this over just because I don't remember what you are. I want to look at you later. Tooltip rec, tooltip label, all this stuff is pretty good. It would be nice to be able to actually load into this though. Alright, gonna take a drink. Clear this. Very confident that this will work. It's not exactly sarcasm. I do believe that it'll work, actually. So let's go ahead and click through. Start, extras, author mode, create, Dunshire, game settings. Okay, let's go to constants. Oh, wait, hold on. Oh no, that's because of the white space. I always forget about that. I guess I could offset that a little bit. Give it like a -10 padding. No, because I need it to basically be... I need this gap here for that. Anyway, constants. Really? Oh! Of course, I completely... Oi. Come back down here. Forgot to do that. Let's try that again. Silly me. Got a pipeline working? Nice. So what are you having it do? Are you just having it basically listen for a repro push or a repo push, and then pull that down and start making a build? It's possible that my mic is just moving away from my mouth. I just moved it a little bit closer. Sorry about that. Also, hello, Kuwi. Welcome back. It's been a while. How have you been? I go to extras, author mode, create, Dunshire, game settings. Let's go to constants. I should probably slow these down a little bit, make them like 1 second instead of 2, or instead of 0.5, because, yeah. Anyway. Oh, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Interesting. Does that mean you didn't save? Because it should be, let's see. Let's go to here, content. Find all references. On initialize, it should be generating that from constant.tooltip, which we have set up on everything. Oh! Okay. About had a heart attack. Excuse me. I do not know why it would not save. It's at least saved on one of them. That would have very much pissed me off. About to set that up. Right now, I just have the project set up properly. Nice. Hey, step's a step. I'm good, thanks. Uni work and all that. Working on that group project game still. Oh yeah? How's that coming along? Okay, so we're gonna come back down here, make sure that we did this properly. Draw script field. We do update and we do apply modified properties. Cool. I quite frankly have no idea why this did not save. Maybe I just whatever. So I guess we'll backport this. At least I can do that. I do hate it when editors for some reason wipe data like that. And it's always, well, not always, but it seems like it's usually random. Sometimes it just happens. Usually it's when you've coded your editor incorrectly, which is why I check my editor script, but it seems like that's correct. Don't really know why it would be different. Okay. Last two. Okay, so I'm going to save, and try that again. Make sure it's not getting wiped because it, oh, that's, I guess that's something to check. Is it being wiped? Find all references. Probably I should go down to here, go to definition. The tooltip probably should be included. Although that sucks because, well, you know what? Why not? We can do that. Pretty good. Recently added in some models and animations. Nice. Realized I hate coding animation animators. Yeah. Were you using Unity for that? Because the editor workflow for animators is super weird. Just because of how Unity chose to set all that up for some reason. So yeah, this was the problem. The tooltip is part of that value, which means that it actually needs to be saved in and parsed, which sucks a little bit. That probably means it would be easier. So this is an enum, which probably means that I could consolidate these into like a scriptable object with these IDs and then their hints. But at the same time, it, yeah, that makes more sense because otherwise it's just saving data that I would want to pull anyway. So fine, that means another scriptable object. All right, so let's go ahead and we're going to create a new C# script. We're going to call this CG underscore string constant hint. I guess, yeah. And then create CG underscore string constant hint collection. I spelled it wrong. Why else would hint collection? Oh, god damn it. See, jeez. Just all of it is failing terribly. I don't even know how I did that. Whatever. Anyway, let's see. Coding something incorrect. Nah, you know me. I'm perfect. I can't make mistakes. Of course, I can't get them to switch the states properly, so sometimes the animation. Hold on, let me make sure this is open. Sometimes the animations lag a bit before switching states properly. Interesting. So is the problem that basically whatever you're adjusting to trigger a transition in states is taking too long to transition? Or is it that it straight up doesn't transition for an arbitrary amount of time? Because that's interesting. Anywho, so this is going to be under text quest. This is going to be, excuse me, nothing. It's going to be a system.serializable object. We're going to go ahead and say public custom game string constant ID is equal to none, and then a text area with a tooltip. Public string tooltip. Tooltip is equal to this. This is also going to be 2 and 3. Okay, so this is tooltip shown when labels for the label for the constant is hovered over. Okay, and then we're going to come back over to here. This is going to be in text request as well. It is going to be a scriptable object. Say create asset menu, file name is equal to that, menu name is equal to that. Okay, so file name is going to be, I guess, string constant tooltips. I really should have called them tooltips instead of hints. Menu name is going to be SOS text request custom adventure and string constant hints. Terrible. Whatever. I think it's taking too long when I'm making a transition state switch for the enemy models, like when around shooting, etc. Sometimes the animations lag even when the actions change. I'm not sure if it's because it's waiting until the animation finishes before switching state or something, but when you watch the animator during runtime, it seems to switch at the correct time. So, yeah, so something to be aware of. That does sound like it's the transition taking too long. The state itself, I believe, looks like it transitions correctly because technically it has moved to the new state, but then you have to factor in the transition exit time or just the transition duration, which can take a little bit longer. So that sounds like that's the problem, but without actually seeing it firsthand, it's hard for me to make that assessment with 100% confidence. Um, anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and say public. I'm going to call this. Oh, right, I got to rename this CG. CG string constant hint. We're going to do tooltips is equal to new. Oh, 0. And then we're just going to do a public string get tooltip CG constant ID. And we're going to say return nothing. Otherwise, we're going to say for int I equals 0, I is less than tooltips dot length I plus plus. And then we're just going to say if tooltips of I dot ID is equal to ID, return tooltips of I dot tooltip. Okay. Pretty straightforward. And then we're going to go ahead and get rid of this. Hit save. We're going to come back over to this. Find all references. Let's see. Constants. Find all references. Here we are. And for this, I'm going to want to say tooltip parent is equal to that. Initialize is probably, we're just not going to worry about that. So we're just going to say field.tooltip, not .content is equal to that for now. And then we're going to say peek this definition. We're going to go ahead and say public CG underscore string CG underscore string constant hint collection constants hints. Ugh, terrible. Okay. I really should tooltip these things. Tooltip scriptable object containing data for tooltips. Terrible. Terrible, terrible naming conventions all around. So we're going to say is equal to cached session dot constant hints dot get tooltip, and then, oh boy, cached session dot custom constants dot constants of I dot id. Oof, how terrible. All right. Okay. Yeah, I did try a function called reset trigger to reset the states just before I want to switch it and hope I get rid of the lag, but it didn't. It made me sad. Interesting. I mean, it still sounds like it's an animation thing. You would probably have to check to make sure that the transition for that reset is instant and not a arbitrary amount of time, which is entirely possible. But anyway, so we're going to do a couple of things. One, I'm going to go to custom game author session. We're going to go ahead and click on this. I'm going to right click, say create SOS text quest, and then custom adventure. I have too many of these. I need to consolidate these probably. Yep. Cool. So real quick, I'm going to grab these. So let's compare. Let's see. Hint collection. SOS text quest custom adventure. So I'm doing custom game. Let's do this. SOS custom adventure. Okay. I should shorten it actually just to custom game, because that is, these are for my own use, so it doesn't really matter. String constant hits versus string constants. Okay. Let's go ahead and let that all compile. And while this is happening, create SOS text quest custom adventure string constant hints. Okay. Oh boy. Man, I would love to change this, but there's no need for me to write a custom property drawer for this. There's just not, Chris. Just don't do it. But I can't do anything until it finishes compiling, so there we go. Alright, so this is start text. Let's see. How many of these are there? This is where it would be nice to have a name for this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. 13. All right. Okay, so we want this. This is our end text. Let's get all of these opened up for now. Come back over to here. This is our quit text. Quit confirm, quit cancel, quit our items. Quit text, quit confirm, quit cancel items. Input prompt, endgame prompt, turn count, word count, sentence count, score count, and time played. Which is for some reason above time or above score count. Sure, why not? Okay. Let's go ahead and grab this. Quit confirm. What sucks is that now I have to go back and redo these inspectors, which is dumb, but whatever. Quit cancel. Actually, at least that's not much of a adjustment. Quick confirm. Shoot. Oh, that's because I did that wrong. Okay. I was like, that's not good. Grab this. Cancel quit. Item listing. Okay. Tooltip for input prompt. Okay, input prompt, in-game prompt. Okay. Let's see. Turn count. Word count. Sentence count. Time played, and finally score. So at least we have these isolated now, so they don't need to be saved out with the rest of them. That's good. Then that means that we can now come over to here. We can get rid of you. We can get rid of you. We can go over to here. We can go back to here. We can get rid of our tooltip. Okay. And actually, before I do that, let's go ahead and make sure I'm not referencing that anywhere. Okay, initialize. We can get rid of that now. Let's go back here, and we can get rid of this. And now we can go back over to here, at which point we will grab this, and we don't need this anymore, which means that we can just straight up say return this, which means we don't even need this, actually. Let's get rid of that. And, you know, actually, got a better idea. We're going to make this value. And that's all good. So now instead of doing this times 0.5, set that. And let's see. So now we'll have our ID draw all the way across, and then we'll have our position y plus editor GUI utility dot spacing. Okay, so we can get rid of this part. We don't need this. Oh, and also, I don't need this anymore. I can pretty much just say position dot. So this is an irrelevant one now. No, it's not. No, it's not. I lied. So we need that. And then we want plus position dot height plus that. Okay. Except I don't think I needed that. I think I wanted that to be like that. Okay. So I think we can do that, which means we can come back to here. And I can make this a text area. 2 and 3. Okay. Let's see what that looks like. Excuse me. I'll figure it out eventually. My next big task is doing a save system. It sounds complicated, but so I ain't looking forward to it, especially considering we have procedurally generated rooms, which I reckon will further complicate things. Yeah. It really depends on how you want to approach that, because there's 10,000 different ways to make save systems. I would recommend using a blob of JSON. That's what I do. Because JSON can be arbitrarily sized. It does not have to have all of its values set, and you can dynamically add new values that you can then just parse back in at runtime and figure out what to do with. So that would be my approach, and then just write that out to a file somewhere on the computer. I should have known. Wait, what? Oh, timeout. Right, I gotta do this part. Editor GUI dot get property height property dot find property relative blah 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 and then value. big fan of JSON. I use it for almost everything. I do that a lot too. Mostly because I find XML a little bit too verbose, and JSON just looks better, in my opinion. Although XML is a pretty decent alternative, but JSON I find is a little bit more streamlined and easier to use. Plus, it's web standard. Oh, how interesting. Oh, it's because I did GUI content on none. That's why. Yeah, I've been procrastinatingly Googling save systems in Unity, so I have a rough idea of kind of what to do. Yeah, and like I said, there are a million different ways you can do it, so I prefer JSON. I definitely do too. I much prefer JSON to XML. Um, hence why I wrote like I've written 7,000 different parsers for JSON. I've written one for Unity. I've written an exporter for Sheets. I just love me some JSON. All right. So, hooray! Now I can see the entirety of these messages. They don't get clipped off at the end. And we still have our nice little bits of text that we can reorder if we so choose. Got the hiccups. Let's go ahead and save. And that. Got some game author session. Let's grab this, put that in there. Okay. I think we're almost ready to test. I totally forgot to do this though. Oh no, I already did. Okay, never mind. Cool. We're good to go. So let's give this a test drive. I've also used JSON, so hashtag excited. Yeah, it's a pretty nice system. Well, if you want to use my JSON parser, you're free to do so, Dusted. I can give you a package of that. It's very fast, but I have run into some usability problems, or they're problems that I would consider problems. Um, uh, just because it seems like some values are a little bit odd when implicitly casting. But I think that's because when you do implicit casting for so many different things, it can get a little restrictive sometimes. Create, like I've noticed if I try to like append an int value from a JSON value to a string, it throws an exception because it thinks that you're trying to cast an int to a string. Um, and there's a way around that where you have to like just grab the raw value of it. But it's not as intuitive as I would like, which sucks sometimes. Um, ooh, non-standard. That sounds dangerous. Haha! Although I'm a little torn about having it be. Ooh, yeah, that's a little too long. Gotta be judicious about these too, right? Like if it's too long, I gotta kind of truncate some of that. I don't really like that it goes out to the right exactly, like it's over that stuff. It just feels wrong. But that's hilarious to me. Cancel out of quitting adventure. Message shown when the player examines the environment. Message shown in the input area when nothing has been input. Message shown at the end of the adventure when the player is ready to return to the adventure's title screen. Text shown when the player checks the number of past turns. When the player checks the number of input words. Number of input sentences. And time spent playing the adventure with score. Okay. I think the only one that really needs to be adjusted real quick is our end one. I'm sorry, I quit text because it's a little too long. Everything else seems to be correct, roughly. Probably wrap some of these up. Yeah, and I can invite you Or I'll just ping you on Discord about that if you'd like. Because I need to. It's a private repo currently. It'll probably just stay private for now. Also, I need to sneeze. Excuse me. I just ate 2 large Domino's pizzas. Oof. Oof. The college life. I remember that. I was a fan of Pizza Hut when I was in grad school because I lived right down the street from Pizza Hut, so it was very easy for me to just like order one of their $20 boxes that they did. I think they still do them actually. And it was like 2 medium-sized pizzas with 5 breadsticks and like one of their sides that's like technically just another dish. Um, so I'd always get like the Alfredo chicken pasta, and I would like, oh, I'd eat all of that in like 2 days. It was disgusting and terrible for my health, but it was so delicious. Um, okay, so we're gonna go ahead and let's save this. Um, so we need to change our tooltips here. So we're just gonna say let's do that. Which one? Oh, right. Okay. Okay. So that's that. Let's go ahead and do the last bit, which is our in-game screen. Awesome. I won't need it for a while. That's a game that's on hold until Unity's CCS stuff is a bit more robust. Oh yeah, is this the same game then that you were talking about way back? Needing a parser for? And yeah, 2019 is actually looking pretty good. There are some weird bugs. There's like a strange thing on Android right now where if you make a build, there's like it's extremely prone to crashing because of a built-in Android SDK problem for Unity, which kind of sucks. Um, so Dunshire game settings. Go over here, add an output. Let's add turns. Also interesting, I can't scroll here, which I think is something that we've established before as a problem. It looks like it's actually bumped down. Like you can see this gap here. So I think I sized it perfectly, but then it's down strangely. Interesting. Um, Anywho, let's go ahead and do score. Select. Okay. So these, I believe, are. I mean, they're going to be a custom input of some kind. But let's go ahead and add tooltips to these just to be sure. So we're going to go for containers, save, top, content, menus, endgame, root, scroll view, content, endgame output. Oh boy. So we're going to want to do it over the label, which I'm sure is going to be way too freaking long and actually probably has its raycasting turned on. Oh, no, it doesn't. That's covering the delete button, though. So how is... Interesting. Oh, it's probably because the delete button is below it. So that's the thing. Well, we can change that because we're going to need to. And let's see here. So, endgame output. Same thing. We're going to go ahead and grab that. So we have to do all of this fun stuff. Don't need so much. Wait. Just had to buy Domino's because they added new stuffed crust called Tabasco and cheese. So I was like, gotta get me some of that bad. Ooh, Tabasco and cheese does sound pretty good though. It's very on hold. Well, I mean, I'm sure I'm hoping that ECS will. It's out of preview now, isn't it? In 2019, and I thought 2018.3, but I could have been wrong there. Then again, knowing Unity, it's possible that they'll just keep it arbitrarily in preview mode for a long time and just never really finish it. So let's go ahead and tooltip some of this while we're in here. Button to click to delete the element. Quewe. Tooltip. Click to move the element higher in the queue. So, I mean, so TextMesh Pro is a standard in Unity now. I think starting in 2018.2, I believe it. Basically, once they had the package manager, is it called package manager or is it? I always get it confused. It's not yeah, it's package manager, not plugin manager. So in 2018.2 and onwards, I think it is included as standard by default whenever you make a new project. You can remove it if you want, but why would you ever do that? So yeah, it's a standard feature now, which is nice. Okay, so this is going to let's see, pick this definition just out of curiosity. Okay, that's not really doing anything. So the next thing I need to do is say serialized field tooltip, and then private tooltip. Ooh, right. Using sleepyowl.com. Tooltip rect. Oh man, I got to do the exact same thing. Tooltip rect. Tooltip is equal to null. To null. So we're going to say tooltip info for this element. Why would we do it this way? Because I'm terrible. So let's go ahead and change this. This is going to be a rect mono behavior, which means that I no longer need the cache transform. Which means that you're probably going to complain. Actually, you won't because I think, oh no, it does. Okay, whatever. So let's just go ahead and say rect transform. Come back down here, rect transform. Nice. Okay. Going all the way up here real quick. Oh, that was something else. That's fine. So we're going to go ahead and say private. Private, sorry. Yeah, let's put that below type. Public tooltip rect tooltip get return tooltip. Okay. And I think we're pretty good there. So let's go ahead and come back down to here. Oh, I gotta make a brand new class. Let's see, string constant controller, don't need you. String constant field, don't need you. Custom game session, I am gonna need something here, which is going to go somewhere here. My question is here. Element prefabs. Why would I make that public? Interesting. Let's go ahead and let that compile. I'm gonna see what this does. So let's go to endgame. Why on earth would I make these like this? Why? What kind of idiot am I? Why? Why would I do this? I don't understand. It seems like it would just be easier for me to have one prefab that I then populate them with. What the? Why am I thinking this? Oh wait, they must have different behaviors on them. They do not have different behaviors on them. Why would I do it like this then? This is terrible. It's just awful. Why would I do it that way? That's just terrible. What a terrible system. Who came up with this? It was terrible. Okay. Yeah, you're in for a good time when you start hearing me say this is terrible. This is exactly why I hate Pass Me. Oh yeah, I hate Pass Me with a passion. Past me always tries to be smart, and then he ends up biting future me in the ass. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and change this to. We're gonna go all the way up to here. We're gonna say using TM Pro. Let's go ahead and say serialize field, private text mesh pro UGUI, UGUI label is equal to null. Okay. I suppose. Let me peek these. Yeah, so these, there's no reason why I couldn't just use these as two strings. Okay. See, that's always what I say. I say, what is it? Past me is always an idiot, and future me is always a jerk. Um, so that's why I do stupid things in the present, because screw future me, and then I get mad at past me because past me was always an idiot. So okay, so we're gonna go ahead and just call like initialize on this, because I'm not even really sure. Index is equal to the max. Oh, that makes sense. Okay. So we're going to call index, and then we're also going to go ahead and call the type. Let me think. Maybe that's why I did it. Because I don't have a good way to really, I don't really have a good way of iterating through the enum, because the enum contains things like custom, which I don't want to spawn one for. And what's the kind of type? String. Yeah, all right, I could see that. So I was still an idiot, but not as bad, I suppose. Let's go ahead and let that compile real quick. I'm going to come back over to here. Custom. Okay. Doesn't matter. For the custom ones, I would have to have had the custom label, or the label reference anyway, so not the worst thing in the world. Well, we should have probably coded in a freaking reference, a public reference to that thing while I was in here before, but I didn't because I was stupid. Okay, so let's go ahead and turn on our UI again. I'm going to collapse this, and we're just going to drag these in, and we have to do it one at a time because of course we do. So we're going to go ahead and grab our label. I'm going to make it not go all the way to the right. That seems like a stupid thing for me to do. 150, wow. 160, probably that's fine. I'm guessing you're, yeah, okay. So let's just do 175. Call it a day. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and add. Do I still have that reference? I do. Okay. So this one is a little less nice. I think I'm going to want to have it be positioned to the right. So we are going to have it still be pivoted to X like this. Now we want it to be at, so it's going to be basically here at the lower left part of it, I think. So pivot of 0, 0, 0, 0. Yeah, okay. So basically like that. We'll give it a -10. -10 offset. The person who created this custom adventure. Okay, so this is a little less nice. A custom output. So no, this one doesn't need a tooltip, ironically enough. excuse me. Dying. Okay, let's remove that. I do still need to apply these changes though, because I wanted to move that anyway. So let's go ahead and hit apply. Get rid of this. Hit save. Grab all of these. Might as well move them over to here. Let's go ahead and redo all of these at once. Let's see. Future me better be living a good life. I'm gonna smack shit out of them. They never are, and they never appreciate what you had to do to get them there. 175. Let's go ahead and paste component as new. Everything is set up there. That's all good. Rect transform is what we want. Tooltip content will be different per thing, so cool. Tooltip area is going to not work for now, which is fine. We don't have to worry about that. We just have to do the same thing we did before. All right, so this tooltip content is going to be, let's see. Output the number of, well, how about this? Show the number of sentences the player has typed while with a Y, playing the adventure. Okay. Let's go ahead and do label, and of course I forgot to do that on my custom one because of course I did. So let's get rid of you. Let's go ahead and drag that back out here then. And of course. I guess I don't really need a public reference. Nope, I do. I do. All right. Well, we're going to add one for no particular reason. Which I guess, man, I hate that I have to add one just to not use it. Gross, which I guess means I'm going to turn this off. It's gross. I hate that. It's gross. I feel skeevy. Ugh. All right. Now let's go ahead and save this. Be back in a bit. All right. Might be going on when you get back. Hard to say. Either way, worth stopping by again just to check. But because it is 5 o'clock, I might tune off in a little bit just to start working on less interesting things. I hate I have to add one just to not use it. Well, it's a terrible way of handling it, right? Because I don't want to check if it exists. It's gross. It's gross. It's inelegant. And inelegance is my least favorite thing. All right. So we're going to come back down here. This is our score. So this is going to... What was the actual thing that I said here? The number of sentences. I'm just going to copy this. Show the number of sentences. Let's go ahead and say show the score. Player has earned while playing the adventure. Okay. Go ahead and apply here. Okay. Then we go to total time. Okay. Show the total time. Show the total time the player has spent playing the adventure. Okay. We are almost through all of this. Okay. Show the number of turns the player has used while playing the adventure. And apply there. Okay, pull these in. Show the number of words the player has typed while playing the adventure. Okay, apply here. Okay, and before I forget anything else, let me just make sure I don't have anything here that needs to happen. These probably could change a little bit. Let's see. Blah, 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 blah. I think we're all good. So let's go ahead and save that. And because I know I'm going to keep forgetting, tooltip rect, there is a lowercase t here that's been bugging me this entire time, which also means that I can come over to here, and I need to, when I spawn these elements, let's see, generate elements, add elements, do this, element prefab, move up, here we are, element dot tooltip dot parent equal to that. We're going to leave that blank for now so I can easily identify that. And then we're just going to go ahead and say serialize field, tooltip. Just realize that all of my menus now have a reference to the parent rect. No, they don't. Some of them do, but not all of them do. Okay. So this is going to be private rect transform. Tooltip parent is equal to null. Transform to capital T. To parent tooltip tooltips to. Okay. Rect transform to parent endgame elements to. Okay. Okay, we're all pretty good here. All pretty good here. We're gonna go ahead and do this is equal to tooltip parent. Okay. And that is pretty much it, which is nice. So let's go ahead and let that compile. Gotta stretch. Trying to think of anything exciting game news wise that's happened recently. All I can really think of is PlayStation 5 specs were kind of discussed, but it's very early on in the life of that, so nothing really too exciting there until we actually see concrete prototypes. Anyway, let's go ahead and do that, and we should be good after that, so let's just go ahead and apply that. Okay, let's collapse this, get rid of this. All right, let's go ahead and see what this looks like. Oh yes, it is very important to stretch. There are actually a lot of exercises you can do at your desk to stretch out your fingers to help you avoid carpal tunnel and all that. Because when you stretch out your fingers, you're stretching out your wrists and your hands and putting pressure on all of your tendons, and that helps keep them limber. Author mode create, done shop. Game settings. Let's go over here to the end game. So the score the player has earned while playing the adventure. Add an output. Okay, let's select that. Show the number of sentences the player has typed while playing the adventure. Nice. No. So I was just thinking that maybe I should put like tooltips on the buttons and such, and that would probably be a good idea, except it means that I would have to, except I'd want to come up with a custom one that doesn't always show up. It only shows up if like the button is enabled, which means I would make a custom like derived class, which is doable. It's not really that complicated, but it's gonna take a while. Um, show the number of sentences the player has typed while playing the adventure. Let's go ahead and just add. Oh, nice! I'm like dynamically removing them. So show the total time the player has spent playing the adventure. I guess I can just keep doing this. Okay, show the number of turns the player has used while playing the adventure, and show the number of words the player has typed while playing the adventure. So nice. Let's go ahead and delete this, delete this, delete you, delete you. All right. Nice, nice, nice. I know what you mean. I woke up with an incredibly stiff neck this morning to the point where I couldn't turn left, so I've been doing exercise for my neck. Oof. Yeah, that's rough. Okay, so it looks like we have tooltips working for pretty much everything here. It's a little rough in some spots, but overall we do have tooltips functional, um, which is kind of, you'll notice like what we had here at the bottom of the screen, except now we have it in a way that is much more kind of user friendly because we don't have to have them on screen at all times, so we can kind of do a little bit more with them. All right, let's go back here. Variables. I feel like this would be a very good one to have. Yeah. Oof, man. Oof, man. Yeah, these need to probably have some updates to them. All right. So I think we're probably going to call it a day there. Oh my. Yep, that's the invalid cast exception I was probably talking about. We might fix that real quick, actually. So JSON value, custom game session 623. 623. Let's see. Let's see. Cannot cast. It's an int, which is frustrating. You are probably. Well, no, that doesn't make sense. What does it think you're doing? Key settings, start room. Let's see. I'm probably, real quick, actually, I'm going to convert our to JSON call. Let's see here. Custom game author session. I'm going to go ahead and make these pretty by default. And the reason I'm going to make them pretty is because if they are not pretty, then this is what they will look like. Dunshire is what we were working on. It's one big thing! Because that's what not pretty looks like. So we're going to make it a little bit more human readable and make it pretty. Let's go ahead and close this. Oh, and actually, while I'm here, that lets me make a quick adjustment to this. So yeah, the new JSON parser that I recently wrote allows me to either export minified JSON or pretty printed JSON, which is just a nice way of saying human readable JSON, honestly. Crap, what was I going to do? There was something on the menu that I wanted to adjust, and oh, right. That is what it was. I'm going to change the tooltip here. Adjust values for who created the game, as well as other publishing information. Nice. So we're gonna go ahead and save, and then make a small change to the Dunshire game, which should force it to re-export as a pretty printed one, or pretty printed JSON blob. So, see, the thing though is, pretty printed JSON is a fair amount larger than minified JSON because you have a lot more characters. Let's go ahead and go to constants, games, add an output, select back, and then let's go ahead and stop playing. Let's load this up. Okay. So I'm actually not sure. Crap. I should have done this. We're gonna jump back into the map because I don't recall what what the problem was. Oh, right, never mind. I don't need to do that because I have the actual line pulled up. 623. So we're looking for settings start room. There we are. So that's a 10. I bet it thinks that it's a frickin' float. How annoying. This is the shortcoming I was talking about in my parser, in that it seemingly can't quite tell what to do here. I'm assuming it has to think that it's either an int, it either thinks that it's a float, or it is reading it in as a freaking string. So I'm gonna go ahead and debug.log this dot raw value. Okay. So let's see if casting it to an int will force it to be correct, or if it'll just constantly be wrong. I'm hoping that is not the case. You never know. Okay. The compilation time also makes it super dramatic. Just because the longer we have to wait, the more the anticipation builds. Oh, look at that. Yeah, that makes sense that label would be like that. I have a warning again. No! I cleaned all of them out. I got rid of them all. And now I have another one. No! Extras, author mode, create, Dunshire. What am I doing? Cool, we got an invalid cast exception. Totally thinks that it's 10. Totally doing something stupid then, aren't you? Aren't you? You're doing the worst thing that you can. You're doing this. You're forcing me to do this. Why do you do that? But you did. I don't know what type it thinks that it is. But I know that it thinks that it's not an int. Which I hate. I seriously assume that it thinks that it's a float. That's the only thing I can think of, which drives me nuts. Because I'm pretty sure I coded this so that it should default to ints if it's a whole number. But then again, what are you going to do? Which probably means that I could actually cast it to a float, then to an int, and it would be correct. But they're like weeds. They keep growing back. Yeah. It's really hard. You got to stay on top of warnings if you're going to try and avoid them cluttering up your entire freaking console. It's very easy to let a project run away and just start having warnings all the time, especially if you have third-party assets, because The bulk of warnings that I've had in the past have been from third-party assets. So I only recently went through and cleaned them up. You guys were not done building, so why the frick did you? Whatever. Ooh. Ooh. Oh, it's a single. Really? How interesting. A friggin' single, huh? Can we do this then? Okay, and interesting. So trying to cast the raw value will apparently not work correctly. So if it thinks that it's a single, that might cause some problems. I should be able to cast it to a float and then to an int, and that should be correct, but we'll see what happens. How annoying. Are you actually going to tell me what the types were? Because that would be much more useful than just saying that it didn't work. Come on. No, of course not. Alright, try this again. So what's happening is essentially because of how the JSON parser works, you don't have to explicitly cast objects. It should implicitly try to detect what you need to cast them to and then just handle it for you. But the problem is when it's ambiguous what you need to cast to, it gets freaked out. Okay, so that works. And that does not still. Screw you. It added an int32 back into it. What are you talking about? Oh, you son of a. So, this is what's very annoying. It clearly thinks that it's correct, but it won't give it to me. Raw value. Oi. Give me a second here. Let's go to. No, that's not it. Oh, whatever. It's okay. Bah. Bah. I say. Bah. So let's see if this whole frickin' equation will do it. So I have to grab its raw value, which is an object, cast that to a float, then cast that to an int. And it's very annoying that some of them are singles and apparently some of them are ints. Oh boy. Oh boy. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. So we have 10. That's all that should be. There's only one value for that. You are quite frustrating, JSON parser. This is what happens when I try to be super fancy, instead of just being like raw and actually functional. Okay, let's go ahead and clear this. Play. Because when it works, it's super cool, but then it starts running into edge cases. Well, not even edge cases. This is something that it should just default work out of the box. And it won't for some reason. Start. Let's go ahead and go to extras, author mode, create, Dunshire. So freaking weird. Clear this. Go to the map. Okay, we have an invalid cast exception, and it's still doing it from 625. This This is madness. This is quite madness. Right. So it's an int that I cannot cast to a float, nor can I cast it back to an int. And if I attempt to cast it to an int, then it just freaks out. This is curious. So it thinks that it's an int already, which should mean that I should be able to cast it to a float. That fails. An invalid cast exception. Because it fails to cast an int to a float. Madness. Madness is what this is. Settings, autosave. That's not what I want, actually. Hold on. Settings, which is right here. And then settings start room, which is right there. And it can't do it. For reasons. Ugh. Alright. Give me a second here. Okay. Or how about this? Or even better, how about this? So I'm going to make sure that there's not like a padding white space on it or something that's throwing everything off and making it evaluate as a string for some reason, which seems incorrect because I know it should be a short. I guess I could just straight up call to int, except I can't because I don't have a format provider. I don't know what to do there. Format. I'm actually curious to know what I pass in there. Let's see. Okay, so just culture info.current culture. Great. And I do not. Oh crap! It's gonna freak out. I do not know. Wow, this is an old one. 2-inch string value culture info, which is from system.globalization. Really? No, that's stupid. I don't need to do that. So I guess I could call convert.toInt, which is also terrible. But let's see. Let's try this. It's gonna freak out because it's not gonna know what it is. Yep. Curses. So my own flexibility is basically backfiring on me. I made it so adaptable that I can't freaking get it to adapt to what I want. Go figure. Alright. I am probably going to let that compile one more time, run it. I know it's going to fail, but I want to see what values it spits out. And then I will probably call it a night there. and go off to my JSON repo to fix it there, because it's much faster for me to work in that repo than it is for me to work here. Because my JSON repo has like 4 scripts in it as opposed to this one, so the compilation time is almost instantaneous over there, much faster. Okay, so let's go ahead and double click on this as well so I can get that pulled up so I can fix it later. Let's run this, see what it looks like. Okay. Click through here, start, extras, author mode, create, Dunshire map. 10 and 32. I seriously, this is the least helpful error in the world. It does not tell me what it thinks it's trying to cast to. I guess it would be this, JSON value 267. Let's maybe look at that real quick. That might give me a sense of what it is. Two, 6, 7. That's interesting. So could it... So I know that I cast it to a float on purpose, but maybe I should do this. No, I'm gonna test this in my other thing. Okay, so that's a good place to stop for the day before I start coughing. So I'm gonna go off and figure out why this is failing sometimes, and then hopefully I will be able to post an update saying like I fixed it. Otherwise, I'll wallow in self pity for a while. So, all right, announcements. I should be on schedule to do my normal Devstream next Tuesday. Pretty sure. Well, nope, that's the 24th, I think, right? That's looking correct, because, yeah. So, I will not be doing. Well, hold on, wait. So today is Saturday, tomorrow's 21st, 2nd, 3rd. What the frick? Okay. So I think it's next Thursday, actually. Next Thursday, I'm going to have a local game dev meetup that I'm going to be going to. And I will not be able to stream that day, but we should be on schedule for Tuesday. I'm pretty sure I'm not getting those dates mixed up. So keep an eye on the Discord for those, and I'll remind everyone. But that is pretty much the only real short-term announcements that I have. So, all right. I think that's a pretty good place to stop for the night. So, as always, I want to thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you all next time.